Before the Resident Evil 4 Remake gameplay was revealed, there were leaks released regularly on Reddit. Even though they were mostly fake, they still kept the hype around the game fresh and made the waiting period feel less lonely. However, after the second trailer was released along with the gameplay reveal, it has been a different story. There are rarely any new information about the game, which is why I know you guys are ready for today's video. Not long ago, ESRB released a rating summary for the Resident Evil 4 Remake that included a lot of interesting new information that wasn't in the trailer nor the gameplay reveal. Also, Capcom producer Hirabayashi did interviews with IGN and Shack News in which he revealed new details about the Resident Evil 4 Remake. This will be a short update video in which I cover all of these new information. So the first thing that we're going to highlight is the third-person perspective. There have been rumors that the game is going to feature both third and first-person perspectives with an option to switch between the two. Although the rating doesn't confirm that the game will be strictly third-person, it doesn't mention anything about a first-person perspective either, which pushes me to believe that it's probably not going to be included. However, this remains a speculation. You never know what the final product is going to look like. Continuing, the rating states that some weapons result in decapitation or dismemberment of enemies, along with large splatters of blood. Although the original game was amazing, it lacked heavily on a part of gore effects, considering that it's a game that revolves around killing people. Combat in the game is super enjoyable and satisfying, but that is due to other aspects. Looking at the Resident Evil 2 remake, it's easy to see the difference. Well, judging by this rating and the fact that the crew behind the making of this game is the same one that was behind the creation of Resident Evil 2 remake, it's safe to assume that the gore aspect is going to be off the charts. Especially now that hardware allows for much more advanced graphics, resulting in a much more realistic and engaging experience. It also says here that some attacks involving chainsaws and tentacles can result in Leon being decapitated, blown apart, or impaled. Leon being decapitated immediately makes me think of Dr. Salvador's chainsaw attack. However, being blown apart is not something that we're used to seeing in the original. Even explosions never alter the form of Leon's body, but simply yeet him aggressively. And the last and most important bit in this rating states that the words fuck and shit will indeed be present in the game. Yes. Now, if you look to the left of the rating page, we can see that the game will release for the next-gen consoles and the PS4, but not for the Xbox One, which is really weird, because if they are going to release it on PS4, then we know for sure that the game is compatible with the hardware capacity of the Xbox One. Maybe they'll release it eventually on the Xbox One, but it's still a very weird decision. Below the list of platforms, we can see a note stating that the game will feature in-game purchases. Many are equating this with the possibility to receive a multiplayer mode in the game, considering that the Resident Evil 3 remake came with the same concept when introducing in-game purchases. However, nothing has been confirmed yet. Recently, Capcom producer Yoshiaki Hirabayashi did an interview with Shack News and revealed a number of interesting information about the game. After Hirabayashi was asked about the role that the Resident Evil 3 remake criticism played in the making of the new Resident Evil 4 remake, he confirmed that the producers are creating the game with the same approach used for Resident Evil 2 remake, and making sure that it stays as faithful as possible to the original. For the Resident Evil 4 remake, we're looking back to the Resident Evil 2 remake. We have the same director now in a Resident Evil 4 remake, so it's the same team of directors and producers. Now when they're looking into making this remake for Resident Evil 4, you have the same sort of mindset that they had for Resident Evil 2 in 2019, and that includes the way they want to preserve the sort of feeling and essence of their original game, the feeling of nostalgia. I guess it's a good way of saying it's also updating the game to a modern audience. So it's this balance that is at hand when they're looking into having sort of the same mindset now for Resident Evil 4. This is a very uplifting information, because a lot of people are scared that the Resident Evil 4 remake might take the same route as the Resident Evil 3 remake, which failed horribly. It seems that the producers are well aware of the criticism that the company received after that, and adopted the appropriate mindset to create a satisfactory remake. In the same interview, Hirabayashi confirmed that the horror aspect will be more prominent in the game and carefully balanced with action in order to match late Resident Evil titles without missing the essence of the original game. So generally, the actual balance between action and horror is quite close to what it is in the original game. However, as a trend with the latest Resident Evil games, the elements of survival horror are important for the Resident Evil 4 remake as well. So, the horror aspect is something that we have placed focus on. Users might feel there's slightly more horror than they felt in the original game, but players will also notice that the game has been improved on heavily since the original game. This is not a surprise since we've already seen in a gameplay reveal that the game had an intense horror atmosphere that felt somewhat like Resident Evil 7 and Village. In another interview he did with IGN, Hirabayashi confirmed that QuickTime events will be making a return. I'd say there are barely any QTEs. Different people have different definitions of what a QTE is. So while I can't tell you that there aren't any at all, I can say that there aren't prompts to press buttons mid-cutscene. However, there are times when you need to press a button based on a situation. The whole team has been working to properly fit what some would call QTEs into the actual game. Some people hate QTEs, but in my opinion, they are part of the identity of Resident Evil 4, so it's a very good idea to keep them in a remake if one of their goals is to capture the essence of the original. This is all the new information that we have so far, guys. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.